Guys, welcome to the Blacklist sessions. This is where we talk about music, film, business, and pretty much anything in between. So I'm really excited about the guests that we have today. We've got Jack and Hugh. How are you guys?
Very well, thanks.
Good, man. Thanks for having us.
Oh, that's good. So you guys have done some really amazing stuff, and you're still pretty young as well. So it's pretty crazy stuff. Do you want to tell us a bit about what's been happening?
Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, thanks, man. Cheers.
Yeah, we've been busy. We put on the very first big country festival earlier this year in May down in Berry, which is pretty close to our hometown. And we're doing a handful of other bits and pieces around the place. Got a festival called Rewind in the Vines, and a few sporting events on the side as well. So yeah, it's been a challenging couple of years, but rewarding at the same time.
Fantastic. So I think the best place to start would be to start with a bit of background of how you guys kind of got into marketing and how you got into running the business and all that kind of thing. So what was it? You guys went to uni and did a bit of studying there?
So Jack and I have been like mates for years now. When did we meet? Probably 15 years old, I'd say.
Yeah.
We both did triathlon really early on, like in our lives, and we met through sport, and we obviously were in similar areas growing up and moved to Sydney. I moved to Sydney just after school, 2013, and lived up there for 6-7 months, and then got a call from Jack and he wanted to move up to Sydney as well. So we kind of we both teed up there and ended up living together for
about 4 years.
4 years in Sydney, So
and I went up and did the uni thing. So I did my undergrad at the Australian Institute of Music. So it was essentially a business degree focused around the music industry, which was pretty cool. Hugh,
I went up and I studied in real estate for 3 years. Studied and worked in real estate.
Jeez, I'll have to have a chat with you, mate.
Yeah.
It's, we can line up some deals.
Yeah. So that was really good. I went up and learned how they did things up there, and really different to home. It's a completely different environment. Really, pretty full on, but it was good, and sort of learnt the ropes in business and in life, so to speak, up there. And then
So kind of two different paths, I suppose. One the uni side, and one more straight into the workplace. I finished up at AIM in 2016. Spent a year at Fairfax Media working on their sporting events team. So City to Surf, Sydney Morning Herald Half Marathon, and a bunch of others all around the country. We did that for about a year, and we were just sort of, getting a little bit tired of the full-time in the city that kind of lifestyle. And missing home. We're from the South Coast, so it's very different to home. And
I think there's always, when you're away from home and you're in a relatively hectic place, it's really good to do your time there and learn what you can while you're there, but it's never going to fully feel like home. I think it's always going to be an element of, at some stage there will be an end date to this. And when you sort of feel like you've got what you need out of it at a certain time, I think
it's time to move on.
And an opportunity comes up. Like we had a fantastic opportunity, and Jack's dad was involved with 100% events for I think 4 or 5 years prior to our involvement, and run that really successfully, and had a range of different events, and all around New South Wales, and an international triathlon as well in Fiji. And he was looking to move on from that and sort of hand the reins over, and that's where the opportunity came about. So
fantastic. So when you guys were working in the city, what were some of the biggest things that really helped you? Because you were in the operations department and working on the marketing and all that kind of thing. What were some of the most important things you think you learnt there that you took away to run your own events?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, and looking back, it was very important for me to soak in everything that I could while I was working in these sort of sized organisations that have been around for quite a while. So I guess, cutting your teeth and being shown how things work before diving in and trying to do it yourself is a great way to start out, so you get a solid understanding of what sort of management's involved in running large-scale events. So just being exposed to that is hugely important, and it doesn't have to be as a part-time or a full-time position. It can just be on any sort of weekend event. Just put your name out there. I did a lot of volunteering countless festivals and events and venues, and really just going into it with your eyes open.
Yeah,
you know?
fantastic.
I think for me, it was like working in the eastern suburbs property market. It was such a high energy, like a high paced environment to be in, and the guys we were working with, like we were one of the leading firms in Coogee there, and just seeing the way that they go about and manage their time, day to day, it was just, yeah, it was really good to sort of take what you can from that and to be involved with them. It's like, they're really making some serious stuff happen.
I think is such a big thing.
And marketing and operations of business, day to day, routines of how to run businesses as well. And that was a big thing that I sort of took out of NJ Farah in Coogee.
Yeah, well that's it. Hey, like I know, especially with my own business and doing all the filming and gigs, like there's a lot of things that I'm juggling at once. So I find for myself and running the business, that scheduling was really important. Just making sure that had everything locked in. It wasn't just I'll remember that for later.
Do you run on like a you've got a handful of things that you do every week at the same sort of time, or is it a little bit more freeform?
Not really. I used to do a lot of casual teaching and things like that in high schools, and obviously, you've got your time that you would do at school, but now because the business and the music is so busy, the only thing that's really scheduled is I know I'm going to have gigs on the weekend.
Right.
But, you never know with the filming. Like one day you'll be down in Victoria, next week I'll be in the Sunshine Coast.
Pretty hard to keep a routine with that sort of
you just got to keep a routine within the madness, I guess. And I guess the scheduling really helps with that routine. It's like, right, okay, well I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And I think that really helps to just not go crazy.
Calendar under control for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
100%. So, Big Country Festival. Guys, I was there and it was one of the best events I've ever seen run.
Good day, wasn't
and
it?
For the first year to get over 5,000 people is just insane for a country event.
It was good fun, wasn't it?
It was, we were pretty overwhelmed with the response for sure. And it was a tall ask. We had never been at the helm of an event that sort of size. So
I think our biggest prior to that was 2,300, just over 2,000.
So we essentially had doubled in compared to the previous festival we put on.
That was 5 weeks prior to Big Country as well. So they were pretty smack bang after each other.
It was an insane sort of time pulling everything together. Like the last 6 weeks was just mental.
So what was like the inception point? Where was the point where you're like, you know what, we're going to put on this huge country festival and it's going to be big?
It's so funny because Hugh and I, we're coastal kids. We're a little bit separated from the country music world. It's not something that we were really exposed to growing up and in our friend circles. The first time we did get a glimpse into that world was Denny, 2017.
Late 2017.
We ended up down there.
That was just when we'd become involved with the business as well.
Yeah, sort of
like 2 months
on a different sort of matter. And we just got down and it was eye-opening. It's a
Lee
full
Kernaghan was
culture of
playing
itself. And
Wolf Brothers.
Being able to watch
cool
Lee,
lineup.
as your first introduction to country music is pretty insane. So we sort of looked at that and went, hey, there's a lot of people that are into this and it's pretty damn fun. And there's nothing really similar around the coast, or even near Sydney. So we sort of wanted to capture the most exciting elements of what we saw, which was, of course, the music, but also the bull riding, that high energy kind of stuff. And then, go for a little bit more of a gourmet food sort of aspect. So that was kind of the formula. And I suppose the start of the idea, then it was just picking a name and finding a venue that would suit. And the name took a few goes. There was a few names from all over the place. And in the end, it was my old man has a knack for coming up with these catchy things. comes up with a lot of non-catchy things as well. But big country.
I remember
turned out
he
to be a
put it
pretty
in
good
our
one.
Facebook group chat, and he said "Big Country," and it was like kind of just it clicked. We were like,
Light
yes, that's
bulb
it.
moment.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's the
Done.
name.
Wow.
It's funny how it kind of just comes about like
Well,
that.
that's it. I think it's great that you guys have come from an outside perspective, and then you've gone down Denny and just seen this madness. Because I was down there last week with
Yeah,
Liam,
yeah. Oh, look
and
good.
had the gig there, and we actually did some filming out in the Ute paddock where everyone camps. And
Yeah.
it's a cultural experience. I'll
Gets
say.
pretty hectic.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is.
Top
And,
festival.
you know, we've been going to music festivals all our life, essentially, and that's sort of where my passion lies, is in music festivals. But
Definitely.
that was the first of that sort of style, and you know, I just love how they bring people together, but you know, it's an emotion and an experience that just can't be matched with anything else.
I think that's something that you guys did so well with the festival, because a lot of other genres really have a knack for creating like a vibe and creating a sort of cultural event. Like you look at all the Triple J events, and you know,
they've got a bit of character, yeah.
Yeah, they've got character, and then obviously your rock and your heavy metal. You know, everyone's got their culture for that.
Yeah.
But I think something that a lot of country festivals kind of miss is like, oh, you know, we'll just put on some bands and we'll have a great time. But
Throw the stage up and people have a good time.
I think in any industry, in any business, as soon as if you're bringing anything new to the table, as a relative outsider, so to speak, you're going out on a limb, and it's always going to be a risk, and you're not quite sure at the start how it's going to go. Are we going to sell tickets? Are people going to actually like this? Is there going to be a good vibe on the day? Are people going to enjoy themselves? And I think you only really find that out by having a crack and by having a solid crack. And we kind of thought, you know, we might get 2,000-3,000 people, and you know, obviously the Berry Showground's a great venue, and Berry's a great town to host something like that in. But you're never really 100% sure, and still it's, you know, it's still like that probably for every big festival in the world. Tomorrowland's probably thinking, you know, are we going to still be able to maintain this level of patronage and excellence and whatever? So, I think there's definitely, it's good when it all comes off.
Yeah. What do you think the point was where you're like, okay, this is actually going to work. We're going to get some great crowds, and this is going to go off.
Go over 3,000 people. As soon as it kind of hit 3,000, 3,500, it was kind of like, this is going to be serious. This is going to be a good day. And it was kind of worked. Like,
the first couple of days we got through like over 2,000 tickets, and it was kind of just like, okay,
that went off,
we've still got like 6 months to go. This is going to be pretty decent, you know.
And a little bit intimidating as well. Like, you know, 5,500 people or 5,000 people at a festival, it's a lot of people. And having not, you know, produced an event of that size previous to that, it was exciting, but a little bit daunting at the same time.
Definitely a bit of a risk, hey. So what is it? Because most people that go to the festivals, you know, they see the food trucks and they see the bands, and they're like, yeah, it sounds great. But what is it that actually goes into the festival? All the stuff that people don't see, which really turns it into a great event.
I think.
How long you got?
It's a long list, but I think the main part that people probably don't realise is how much collaboration is involved. How many people come together to make this experience happen. You know, it's not just 2 people. It's not just 5 people or one company. It's so many different groups of people involved, from volunteers, artists, obviously, production staff, staging crew, your general labourers, artist liaison, bar. We haven't even got into the vendors, merchandise. Like, there's so many different people that become the identity of the event. And then, of course, everyone that comes on the day, each individual person or group of people that are involved have their own stamp on what the festival ends up being. And I think that's one thing that you can sort of miss just walking in as a punter on the day. You know, you kind of just walking around, take it in, and it's all good. But, you know, there's probably close to hundreds of people involved in making this what it is.
Who have all got to be on the same wavelength as well, and all got to have a similar goal in mind. And, you know, I think that's where the management and the people management comes into things. It's so important to have everybody on the same page, you know, cooperating together at once for 12 hours during an event. And it's, you know, to have that all happen and come together is, it's special.
It's huge. Cool. There's definitely a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially when you got bulls coming in and out, and, you know, it's like, there's live animals involved.
Don't even start me on the bulls.
So many, there's a lot of moving parts to all happen, and for that to all come off, without a glitch, it's really tough work.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the marketing a little bit, because I think that was definitely one of the strengths that got you guys such great numbers. Just speaking to a few artists on the day, they're like, man, these guys, they're so onto it. They're really organised. So what do you think it was that really helped you to generate a lot of ticket sales really quickly?
Look, in terms of generating ticket sales quickly and festivals and selling events in general, you cannot underestimate the importance of the launch.
Yep.
Getting it right from day one, because that's when half the people that are going to eventually come make their minds up. So the more people you convince right then and there, the more people you're going to end up with. So it was very, very important for us to make sure that all of the content that came out represented what the day was going to be about. And
that's really hard to do when you've got no content from previous years as well. So all of our content that we used through that launch period, and it was all, funnily enough, mainly video, that was all stock stuff off the internet.
There was a fair bit of stock.
There was a fair bit of stock.
And I'd love to take all the credit, but there's too many smart people involved in the marketing side of things that eventually got it to where it was.
Yeah.
We had fantastic digital marketing manager working with us through the whole campaign. We worked with a digital agency for all of your Facebook and digital ad targeting and retargeting and all that
really good
fancy
designer.
stuff. The graphic design stuff, and then a bit of general direction from a few people that are supporting us in the background. Again, it's the team thing. You've got to use everyone's strengths. You've got to be the glue that pulls everything together and synthesizes that into the campaign.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it was great. So what do you think the breakdown was? Did you guys spend most of the advertising online, or did you do a little bit like around the town with posters and things?
Probably mainly online, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone's on the digital world these days in terms of your audience. And it's obviously important to have your brand represented there. So it's a big portion of it. But I think it's equally as important not to forget about all the other avenues, because while there's a lot of people online, not everyone's on there, or not everyone spends as much time as the average people do. And one of the things that we really loved about Big Country was that it felt like if you would feel like you weren't out of place if you're a 12-year-old, if you're a 20-year-old, if you're a 40-year-old, if you're a 60-year-old.
Yep.
You could have been in any age bracket, and it felt like you weren't out of place.
Yep.
So that's a wide age bracket to be talking to, across a lot of mediums. So
which means the marketing has to be spread.
We spent money on radio. We spent money on posters, on print, we didn't do TV last year, but we will be this year.
Yep.
So it's really just about hitting as many different places as you can,
and finding what sticks. It's kind of that formula with marketing. It's not one thing is proven to be 100% effective. It's having the broadest range that you can possibly fit into your budget and seeing what sticks, putting everything on the wall, and if you do that, I think you're going to give yourself the best chance at reaching the maximum amount of people. We reached a lot of people through that campaign. And
don't underestimate how much PR, I suppose you could call it, you can generate yourself. There's a lot of people out there on online blogs and smaller magazines that are looking for content, looking for stories, as I'm sure you'd be well accustomed to. And don't be afraid to go out to those people and say, hey, I've got this artist doing this. Do you want to talk about that? Or this is a festival coming to this town. Do you want to talk about that? Tailor it to who the media outlet is, and you can get a lot of reach that way, and it doesn't cost anything.
Well, that's what it's all about, just getting the message out, and then the people that bite will bite.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's it.
Great. So what was the decisions behind the lineup? Like, obviously it's, there's a budget you've got to work with. Yeah. How do you go about creating a great festival lineup with the most bang for your buck?
I think first year we just wanted to make it as good as we possibly could with what we had available to us, and to book the the cream of the crop in Australia. I think that was really the key. And obviously seeing what happened at Denny when we were down there and at a few other festivals as well, it was pretty clear that there's a certain group of Australian acts who are right up there and really good supports as well, and really good local supports.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to really listen to the songs of the artists that you're considering, and think about how that's going to play out at the festival. Is this a good festival song? Is this going to make people dance? Is this going to make people happy? That's the kind of feeling that we're going for. So if you've got artists that replicate that, someone like a Travis Collins stands out because that's kind of his ethos.
Did you say he said it at Big Country, Travis's?
Yeah. I love Travis. I think he's got one of the best voices in the country, and his sets, they're great. It's a good mix. So he'll take you on a journey. It'll start really fast.
Everyone knows his songs.
Yeah.
There was such a big contingent of that. Everyone was into it.
Yeah. And I think second to that is obviously being lively on the socials. Are these people that are going to get behind the event and support it and actually really want to be involved? And are they engaged with their fans? Because that's especially as a first year, a lot of your initial audience is going to be through the fan base of the artists that are playing.
100%, yeah. I mean, they're the channels that you really work through until you've got the name built up where, like CMC, for example, they're, selling out a lineup without saying
announcing.
What it is.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
As a brand new festival, they're your advocates.
Yeah.
They're your brand advocates, and that's really, it's a good strength to have.
Yeah, awesome. It's 100% right, I think, about the looking at like kind of the songs that are really important.
And the live set. If you've seen the live set, how what's their performance like live? You want someone that's going to animate the crowd, not someone that's going to put you to sleep.
Yep. Fair enough. Well, what was some of the biggest challenges you think with running the festival? I know there's probably a few challenges, but what are some of the biggest?
First?
Look, I guess like pulling together, the operations and everything else that goes along with putting on an event for 5,500 people, it was relatively new to us. And I don't think there was one that stood out for me, but a range of different sort of things that, we've got sort of to a point, 8 weeks out from the festival, and we were like, this is going to be really quite solid and substantial. And look, we were really lucky to have a lot of good advisors and people around us who have done this stuff before and run festivals of 30,000 people, and they really did help us. So, I think without that support, we would have been in a different position. But look, in terms of challenges, it's the whole thing is a challenge. There's
definitely
not really one specific thing for me that stood out, but it was to find
puzzle.
the formula. It's just a puzzle. Exactly.
Yep.
It's finding the formula to navigate that in the leading in weeks. That was the.
I suppose on my end, I mean, there are a few, but the ones that jump out at me now, looking back. Firstly, I'd have to say camping and organising the campgrounds. I mean, we put 600 people into a paddock that had one tap.
Damn.
So you start from that blank canvas, and you've got to build that in a budget, without blowing all the money that you've got. That was a challenge of finding out, okay, what's the best way to do toilets? What's the best way to do showers? What about food? What about medical? What about all these different elements? And then you bring safety into the consideration. So,
and what if it pours rain, and how are we going to get cars out? And,
Well, that's just it. There's so many little things that a lot of our festival goers, they just don't realise goes into the planning. Like,
you got to think of everything.
The tap thing, like no festival goer would have thought about that.
Well, and like you don't think about plumbing because it's just such a normal part of our life. But
exactly.
if you've got no plumbing, like that's a problem. You need to solve that. So that was a big one. And then the other would probably be, I mean, we put the bull riding on inside the showgrounds, essentially right next to the main stage. So coordinating, getting 2 trucks of dogs of dirt in for the flooring of that, and getting the bulls in and out safely, and making sure that bulls don't escape. You'll be 5,000 people on the other side of the fence.
Kind of important.
Yeah, a little bit. And then of course, there's a lot of stakeholders involved. So ensuring that everyone's happy with how the venue's being used, and you know, what the impacts on the town's going to be like. So
there are a lot of little things as well, like the site layout, where the stage is going to be, how the stage is going to look in photos, how the stage is going to look with the sun setting, and what's behind the stage. And Jack and I go through these things in pretty crazy detail. Just the little intricacies that go towards, you know, like there was a staging truck behind the stage, and it was pointed out from one of the team that it's not going to look great in photos.
That was Jay.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Was it?
That was Jay.
Wow.
It was Wolfies. Yeah, well, Wolfies in Lee. Yeah.
But it was like the photo's not going to look amazing if there's going to be a truck behind it. We'd like the trees there, and it was like
that was when I first met you, Jay.
Interesting.
What did you think of me tapping you on the shoulder and, hey, can you stop doing this filming and go and move a truck for me, please?
Well, the photos looked alright at the end, so it all worked. It worked out well.
Yeah, well, I think like the positioning of the sun and all that sort of stuff was great. Like, I know I was at the back of the stage for Lee and the Wolf Brothers getting some video and photo. Man, like seeing all the people out there and then like having the pavilion up the back. Like, yeah, it was great.
It looks awesome.
We were going to have a big food tent as well in the food vendors area, and we were kind of a few weeks out, and there was like, that's where at the Berry Showgrounds, I'm not sure if you listeners are familiar with the venue, but there's the whole camping area in that venue, and it was it had a whole lot of power outlets and fire hydrants and stuff, and it was just physically not possible to fit our food tent there. So like
underground everywhere.
Cabling, it was just a minefield, and it was a bit too risky to hammer anything into the ground. And it was,
I could imagine.
Yeah, like just these little things. It was like this could be a decisive part of the whole festival changing, and it's just navigating those little issues that are really.
We almost brought a Ferris wheel in.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
and dodgem cars.
They were both serious considerations. Pretty glad now.
I don't want to give anything away for future years.
I was going to say,
that might make a return.
You could keep it in your diaries, maybe.
We had the mechanical bull. The mechanical bull went off.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a winner.
Yep.
Yeah, mechanical bull.
Probably went down a bit better than the Dodgems.
Yep. So let's talk about future plans then. So obviously you guys are going to run it again because it was just such a great event. So what are the future plans?
Well, we're coming back.
Great.
Without giving too much away, the secrets.
We're coming back. We're working hard to pull everything together now for launch.
It's all about how we can make it better and how we can build on it and grow the festival. That's the big part
bigger.
Of it now.
That's the theme.
Yep,
big country gets bigger.
Fantastic.
Yep. It'll still be one day. It'll still be in Berry. There'll still be camping.
Expect much of the same.
It'll be the same sort of experience, but amplified.
Yeah, same but bigger.
Absolutely.
We got through one year and we came out the other end and said that was really fantastic. But hey, wouldn't it be amazing if we did this with the Rodeo? Maybe amped up the speaker, the sound system there, and ran it at night with a nice set of lights, and all little bits and pieces that you look at and you go, that would be amazing next year, you know? So we're working on that stuff now and trying to get together the whole launch, which should be happening, touch wood, in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Fantastic. Oh, that sounds very exciting.
It's all happening,
so do you guys have any other festivals that you're looking to run in the meantime along with Big Country?
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of focused on Big Country for now.
We do have another festival called Rewind in the Vines.
Yep.
That's like an old school rock throwback festival. That actually came about before Big Country did. That was the first music festival we did, and that was based in Griffith out west.
Yep.
That went really well. We've had some big headliners there, Darryl Braithwaite and the Angels and Ross Wilson, the Choir Boys, Radiators. So that's happened twice now. And
so just a couple of small names, ladies and gentlemen.
Some big guys from the 80s, and that's definitely still on the cards as well. We're looking at some potential stuff.
That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic, guys, and especially 24 years old.
Both 24.
Both 24.
Yeah, 24.
They're running music festivals. Amazing. Needs to be more folks like you in this world taking risks and having a go.
Straight back at you.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast. Really great to talk to you. And
Pleasure, man.
I hope
a
lot of folks got some insight and what actually goes into a festival and what it takes to really run a business and make it all happen. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All good.
Thanks for having
us,
Jay.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Awesome. So, you've been listening to the Blacklist sessions. It's been great to talk to Jack and Hugh, and I guess we'll see you later.